Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy the Mad Guy. Got up here today with another episode of To Stream or Not to Stream, and today I'm talking about another dedicated streaming service known as Troma Now. So who are Troma and why is this something that I actually quite enjoy? So Troma are a company mostly known more in the US for releasing really low budget but just crazy batshit insane movies. I mean, movies like Toxic Avenger, Thanksgiving, The Class of Nukem High, those sort of over the top, crazy, just insane movies that you just wouldn't expect to see from anywhere else. Obviously, Lloyd Kaufman, um, you know, most noticeably known for that. If you're a fan of AV Gen, he was on one of those episodes. But it is an insane company that just released some just obscure movies that you just wouldn't expect. And basically, they have now got a streaming service. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, the layout of the streaming service is pretty much the same as Full Moon Features and Arrow that I've already talked about. So there's not much point me really sort of telling you about the actual layout of it. Excuse me. It's pretty easy to find what you want on here. It's got everything you need. It has collections and loads of stuff on here. But what is exactly on Troma Now? First of all, how much does it cost? I believe it's either £5.99 or £6.99, or it's like £6.15 or £5.59. I don't know. I think it varies on how you pay for it. How you subscribe to it. I think you can get cheaper deals through Google Play. It might be cheaper on Google Play, but if you stream it directly from Amazon, it might be cheaper. It's weird like that. There are some weird ones. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a Prime channel. It is a standalone app, which you can get on Fire Stick. And I believe you can also get it on Android devices, probably iOS, but don't quote me on that. And I'm not sure if it's on consoles or not. So, it's on pretty much what you would expect it to be on. So what is exactly on Troma Now, and is it different? Like I said, the biggest thing is I'd say it's more of it is a dedicated streaming service for sure. But what's on here, I'd say this one's more definitely got more low budget stuff. Lots of like amateur films, lots of films that obviously don't have recognizable people. Yes, they do have some of the more well-known ones like the Poultrygeist, the Thanksgiving, obviously all of the things like films like the Witchcraft series, lots of crazy things on here. But what is pretty cool is it does have if you're into really low budget films, it has this in so many different loads of different low budget films. Everything from low budget horror movies to comedy movies to just batshit insane movies. Like there's one right here, Pot Zombies. I'm going to be honest with you, the movies are on here, at least the ones that I've watched, they definitely are low, but they're on the really low budget. And 99 times out of 10, they are pretty terrible movies. I've watched some stinkers on here. But it's that entertainment. If you know what you're getting into, if you're a fan of obscure cinema, films that probably would never get a physical release, and I can guarantee at least probably about 60-70% of the stuff on here probably doesn't have physical releases, or if it does have a physical release, you're not going to go into like CEX or HMV and find these films. I guess the same can be said for America. You probably have to buy them directly from whoever created the film. I do want to say that Troma movies do exist in the UK, but in very limited quantities. The only ones I've come across would obviously be like the Toxic Avenger films, maybe like Nukem High, those sort of more well-known Troma films. But a lot of the obscure ones, like I said, not everything on here is Troma stuff. There is stuff that is Troma creative stuff, but like I said, a lot of it is just fan made stuff. People that just create these crazy movies, really low budget, terrible acting. The practical effects are pretty terrible, but sometimes there's some good stuff on here. I will say there's a fair share of movies that border on, is it a movie, is it porn? There's some movies on here that literally I watched and it was literally just like an hour and 20 minutes of just half naked women, sometimes fully naked women, just there for the sake of it being there. You know what I mean? The plot was subpar, but if you're interested in those sort of things, then by all means, but it does have some surprises on here. It does have a lot of obscure classic TV shows and movies as well. I watched the old Black Whip TV show, the Zorro Black Whip TV show that was on here as well, from like the 40s. It has some old like Dick Tracy stuff on here, some old Abbott and Costello. So it does have some obscure gems, from the 40s and the 50s, as well as modern crapfest. But it does have a fair share of documentaries and fan-made stuff, stuff that is obviously quite big in the US in the Troma horror community. But it does have some interesting stuff on here. It's got like shorts, there's a ton of shorts on here. I'd say more shorts on here than any other streaming service that I've already talked about on this channel. Lots of shorts, 5-minute movies, 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, sometimes 2-3 minute movies, music videos as well. So lots of amateur stuff. So if you're a fan of amateur cinema and low budget stuff, I think Troma's got a great selection. There are some films on here that are on other streaming services, that might be on Full Moon and might be on Arrow. I've already talked about Arrow being the best of the three, getting a lot of stuff from other companies, but I digress. I think Troma now is pretty interesting. There's not really much I can say in terms of what's right and what's wrong about it. There is I've not really had any issues with Troma. Occasionally you might get the error message, or it might say can't play, but 9 times out of 10 when you reload it, it works properly. Out of all of the streaming services that I've used over these past few months, the ones that I've encountered the most problems with, other than obviously I talked about Paramount, was Shudder and Full Moon. For some reason I can barely watch a film on Shudder or Full Moon, on the Fire Stick at least, without it actually stopping and resetting or saying can't be played. I've looked up some things online to try and figure out what to do. It just says the usual thing, clear the cache and that, and I'll try that next time I watch a film on there and see if that fixes the problem. But I've never had that issue with Troma. I also do want to mention that not everything has subtitles. There are some things that do have subtitles, but there's stuff that don't have subtitles. Again, I think that's because you got to bear in mind a lot of these movies on Troma were created on a shoestring budget by just, people like you and me, just fans of movies and making stupid things, from all different periods of time. So it's down to them whether they decided to put subtitles on it. I don't think the Troma Now app is in charge of what things get subtitles and what things don't get subtitles. I think it's down to the actual creators of those movies, shorts or whatever, to decide whether or not they branched out to get someone to put subtitles on them or not, which is, you know, it's understandable. Like I said, there's lots of short films on here. I think I've only come across maybe about 10 films on here that are over an hour and a half, which for me is great because, you know, I don't, because I don't spend a lot of time watching movies and TV shows as much as I used to. So an hour and a half movie for me is perfect, you know, even, you know, because it's great because I can get a film watched and then still have more time to watch my TV show. So I think Troma Now is a great streaming service. It is a little bit, I think it's more expensive than Full Moon and more expensive than Arrow. But it is a dedicated streaming service. This isn't going to be for everyone. You know, if you're just an avid movie fan, don't go into this expecting, you know, top tier movies. You will find a couple of hidden gems. You know, I found some stuff that I really enjoyed, like the Zorro Black Whip. I don't know if it was a TV show or mini series or what, I don't know. But I thought that was a lot of fun, you know, just cheesy 40s Western, you know, so you might find some hidden gems, but everything else I've watched on it has just been a movie that I've gone, what the hell did I just watch? Why am I watching this? I mean, there was one movie I watched the other day, and I'll talk about it in my upcoming vlog tomorrow, which will be obviously a full vlog tomorrow. I can't remember what the name of it was. It was like Pleasure Girl Gang or something like that, also known as Climate Tarzan, and it was literally just pretty much just models, girls being models, and there was like the description said, oh, someone's gonna corrupt and abduct these women. It's literally the bare minimum of that was in the film. I'm like, wow. But it does make you, you know, I watch these films and I'm like, wow, you know what, it's dumb, it's stupid, but you know, of course, there's some classics and well-known Troma things on there, you know, Poultrygeist, of course, and you know, Troma being the nasty company that they are, loving those gory, squishy, slimy, you know, practical effects, you know, so you know they're fans of classic cinema. But I digress. I think Troma Now is great for people, especially in the UK, who want to check out a lot of these obscure movies and movies that we don't get physical here in the UK. Because that's the thing. A lot of people say to me, why do you why bother with using some of these streaming services when you can probably just buy it on DVD? And that isn't the case. I literally did a list the other day. I went through some of my stuff and thought, what am I going to upgrade to Blu-ray? And obviously I've already talked about this in the past about why do I have DVD, why not everything on Blu-ray? Because I'd say about 70% of the stuff that I've got on DVD doesn't actually have Blu-ray releases here in the UK. At least not ones that I'd want to upgrade, like Twin Dragons, for example. I love that movie. The only Blu-ray releases I could find online were German and French releases that don't actually have English or English subtitles. So I'm like, there's no point even buying that. You know, I know, yeah, it might look better, but what's the point if I can't understand what they're saying? You know, and even one that really surprised me that didn't have a Blu-ray release, actually two that surprised me that don't have Blu-ray releases, is White Chicks and 40 Days and 40 Nights. I love those films. They don't have Blu-ray releases. That's it's unbelievable. I do have both on DVD, and they always get put on Amazon and Netflix and Disney. They get moved around quite a bit. So, you know, so look, and even Idiocracy, that's another one that doesn't have a Blu-ray release here in the UK. And the thing is, I know some people say, why don't you import? Probably get it cheap. Well, yes, the problem is with importing non-English versions, at least, is the problem with doing that is you're not guaranteed. While it would probably work, because I haven't figured out if my Blu-ray player can play other regions yet. There's only 3 regions of Blu-rays, A, B, and C, rather than DVD that has 10 regions. My 4K Blu-ray player is region 3 for DVD, no problem, but I don't know about Blu-ray, and I don't want to go out of my way to buy, spend money on importing a Blu-ray with the intention of actually watching it and found out that it don't work. You know, so that's why, you know, European ones are a good option, but the problem is if you're importing like a German one or an Australian, well, maybe not so much Australian, but a German one or a French or Spanish one, you've got to make sure that it's got English language, or at least English subtitles, to be able to watch it, unless you actually speak that language. And again, like I said, because like 40 Days and 40 Nights does have a US Blu-ray release, but is it worth me spending the money to import it, only to find that I can't actually watch it? So it's one of them risk over reward. So my intention one day is to maybe see if I can find a cheap, like a dirt cheap Blu-ray from the US, or if anyone has a cheap Blu-ray from the US, it doesn't matter what movie it is, a region A Blu-ray, let me know in the comments below. I might be interested in, you know, if you want to work out a deal or something, just so I can test it, you know, and we'll go from there basically. I don't know, but I digress. Troma now, back to Troma now. For me, it's a Scream for sure. I enjoy the stuff that's on there. I'm not saying they're great movies by any means, but it's fun, cheesy, stupid movies. They're not movies that are going to win any awards. You'll be lucky if you can sit. Some of these movies, like I said, for the average movie fan would turn it off. And I've never understood that that mindset. People say, oh, I watched the movie, but I turned it off after 20 minutes. How can you judge something if you've only watched 20 minutes of a movie? You know, I'm a bit of a sort of realist. I know some people are like, oh, yeah, but, you know, oh, when you're watching a crappy movie, you know it's going to be crap. But for me, if I've started watching something, I want to finish it, you know, and then judge afterwards. It might still be a steaming pile of crap, but at least I can sit there and say, you know what, I sat through it. Yeah, it's like, oh, there's an hour and 20 minutes I'm never going to get back. But at the same time, you know, I've never, ever done that. I've never watched a part of the movie and then gone, I'm not going to watch all of the way, you know. I mean, there's been times where I've watched movies here and there because they've been on the TV, but in the past, but you know, and that's why I like using streaming services as well, because I can check out a lot of these movies, and if I really enjoy the movie, then I'm gonna go out of my way to buy a physical version for it. And you know, that's the thing. I don't have Blu-rays and DVDs just for the sake of having them. I obviously want to watch them. If I see myself rewatching them, then I'll keep it. If I can't see myself ever watching it again, then you know it goes up for sale or trade or I donate it. You know what I mean? Gets moved on. But I digress. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there. But I digress, guys. Troma Now, I think it's a fun little streaming service. You can find some hidden gems on there for sure, but you do have to scroll through a wave of crap to get there. But I digress. It is what it is. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, feel free to leave a like. And, of course, comment below. Let me know, do you use Troma Now? What is your favourite low-budget movie? And what is the worst movie you've ever watched? For me, I mean, Pet Sematary, the new one, was absolutely terrible. I hated it. Obviously, there's some Zombies was probably one of the worst movies I ever watched. It was fucking terrible. I also, I mean, like those movies I watched, Club Lingerie and Pleasure Girl Gang, were just absolutely terrible movies. But I can forgive those low budget Troma Now movies because they're amateur movies. So, you know, I don't really class them as proper movies. I mean, actual movies that you can go out and buy in the store or something like that. Anyway, guys, as always, if you leave a like, if you and of course subscribe if you haven't already, and join the family. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'll be back tomorrow with a vlog video. We're going to talk about what I've been doing recently, what I've been watching. I'm going to give a little bit of an update on the personal side of things, what's going on with the baby, and what may or may not happen to the YouTube channel going forward. I am planning to go down and see my dad and my family in a couple of weeks' time. I didn't do it this month because I was ill and my friend was ill and that, so we gave it a miss. But hopefully I'll be able to do it at the beginning of next month, because my last opportunity before baby number 2 gets here. But I digress, guys. As always, have a nice day, and I'll see you tonight, in tomorrow. Some more Dragon Ball Z Kakarot tonight, and I'm watching the movie A Haunted House, the Wayans Brothers spoof movie. Take care.